Hi folks, and welcome to TK Powersports and RVs. Today we are down here in New Mexico taking a look at this. This is the all-new 2023 Can-Am Outlander. Now this mid-cc category is huge in the ATV market, which makes this a very important product for Can-Am, and I'm going to tell you all about it. So this Outlander is all new from the ground up, and that includes a brand new power plant. Now this is replacing the old Outlander 450 and 570, and the new models are the Outlander 500 and 700, but the engine here is a 650cc single cylinder. And yes, there's only one engine with two different outputs depending on the machine you buy. So the base model is 40 horsepower and 37 pound-feet of torque, and then you can step up 50 horsepower and 41 pound-feet of torque. And of course, each one has unique clutch tuning as well to make sure it's maximizing that power. So Can-Am moved from a V-twin to a single cylinder, and they gave us a whole number of reasons, but I actually think the most important is the fact that the exhaust now exits straight out the back of this machine. Now that's good for two different things. First of all, heat. There's no more heat on your legs here because it's that single cylinder, and the way it's oriented, like I said, the exhaust comes right out the back, you're totally free on your legs. And then the other thing, the seat was actually made a little bit skinnier, and that was also thanks to that mono-cylinder engine. And then the final thing, maintenance. I mean, straight up, it's easier to maintain one cylinder over two cylinders, but Can-Am are really focused on maintenance with this machine. And I think one of the most important points is the first year of ownership, there is no maintenance called for, unlike the competitor's machine. So size-wise, this machine is very similar to before, but it is a little bit wider, just over 47 inches, and that's about 2 inches wider than that old Outlander. Now, another one of the big changes are with the racks, both in the back and up there in the front. So you'll see they've kind of gone away with the traditional steel bars that come across your rack, and they've given you these kind of recesses here. Now, this is nice because you can just toss something in here, maybe a cooler, and it's gonna actually stay there, unlike a traditional ATV rack where it just wants to slide off. Now, the other thing you can do is use the link attachment system, and there's a ton of different accessories: fuel caddies, coolers, just little storage bins, soft-sided bags, big trunks. I can show you a whole list of them right here. But yeah, if you use those link attachments, you can really attach a lot of stuff onto this machine. So the rear rack here capacity is 240 pounds, while the front rack capacity is 120 pounds. Now, there's another trick at the front here. This is standard. They put this little cover on here. So again, you get a little trunk. You even have a little latch right there to keep it up, so if you're hanging out and you want to get into your little front trunk, you can do that. Really smart features, and these are usable everyday features. If you're working with this machine, you're definitely going to be using all of this stuff. There's another new storage bin right here too between your legs. It's like a little glove box. Now they've actually put in the standard phone holder too, and it's a magnetic phone holder. So you stick this little magnetic disc on your phone, and that's gonna stick it right in here. Plus on upgraded models like this XT, I also have 2 USB ports so you can charge your stuff. So yeah, I think the storage solutions they've moved to here are really smart. Another thing I like about Link accessories, if you're a Can-Am or BRP faithful owner, you can take the fuel caddy off of your Sea-Doo or your Skidoo and then bring it over here to your Can-Am, and then when winter comes, throw it back on the sled. That's really cool. If you stick with just one brand, the accessories will fit on all those different machines. Now I want to talk to you about the suspension because it is fully revised here and it is better than before. So we have more travel in the front and the rear. Front travel comes in at 9.75 inches, rear travel at 10.25 inches, and ground clearance at 12 inches even. And again, in this category, you want to be able to work hard, but you also want to be able to have fun, and adding that suspension travel should make that possible. And you know what? I think that's just about enough. Let's go hit the trail, go for a ride, and I'll tell you what it's like. Okay folks, now it's time to go for a ride. I'm here on the Outlander 700 XT, and Can-Am actually brought us to a dirt track. Now no, this isn't the typical usage case for this machine, I'll admit that, but the track is going to let me feel the dynamics, the suspension, and the power. So, let's hammer down. Oh yeah, did I mention there's quite a few jumps here too? So, first, let's talk about the power, and I will tell you that right off of the line, it's not a hard hit in high range. Another jump, the real strong power comes on in the mid-range. And then from mid-range right up to full throttle, this thing absolutely pulls. The 700's got way more than enough power, and of course I'm here on a dirt track, so I've been using the throttle to steer. Coming through these corners, you can really hang it out. And a part of that too is the added suspension travel here. You do feel the machine roll just the tiniest bit in the corner, but it's super predictable, and that's important on a track like this. I've been able to be out here for a little less than an hour now and just feel totally comfortable on this machine. And comfort is really the word I kind of keep coming back to. Not only is it easy to ride, which makes it comfortable, but the suspension is just straight up comfortable. So once you slow down a little bit and just cruise, yeah, that added travel really goes a long way to keeping the ride well sorted here and just to eat up everything underneath you. And another jump. And I gotta tell you guys, I must be catching a foot of air right there, and I'm not bottoming out the suspension. Now yes, I have bottomed it out once or twice today, but I really had to work at it, and that's saying something for a guy my size. So when it comes to the other dynamics here, for my power steering, I actually have 3 different settings. There's a minimum, a middle, and a max. Now I got on and the machine was set to max, and I immediately put it down to minimum. For me personally, I like the heavier steering. I keep talking about how predictable and easy it is to slide. Well, part of that in my books is that I can really feel it communicating to me through my hands what is going on. But not everybody's like that, and I will also admit that on a long trail ride doing hundreds of miles, if you turn that DPS all the way up to the max, it's just going to make sure that you're not getting anything through to your hands. Another jump. And if you put it to max, it's just going to be a super comfortable and non-fatiguing ride. And again, I keep coming back to that. This thing is so easy. There's no real points here where I'm like, oh, that's going to make me tired. Oh, that's going to make me sore. I like the seat. Gets wider at the rear and kind of nice and tight up in front of you, so you can really squeeze your legs in too. Handlebars are at a really comfortable height for me to be standing up and sitting down. No problem there. Another jump. Oh, jumping never gets old. So yes, easy, predictable, those are the words I come back to. Is it a speed demon? No, it's not, but that's not what you want out of this kind of model. And to be fair to Can-Am, this does have a couple more horsepower than everything else in the segment. A couple other things I'll mention while just sitting here. I really like this glove box. This has become very standard in the PWC industry. Snowmobiles are getting more storage, and now here on this ATV it makes a lot of sense. I like this box up in front too, although I will admit I do kind of wish that it hinged at the front and opened forwards, so then if you're on the seat you could get to it. But besides that, there's so much at-hand storage that comes stock on this machine. I really appreciate that. Now let's talk about four-wheel drive. Even though most of today I've been running in two-wheel here on the track, of course, the thing you need to know about is the Visco lock system. So that's Can-Am's front locking differential. So here on this XT model, it's an automatic locker. If the slip begins to happen, that diff will lock itself up until the slip is done, and then you can go on your way. Now, that was Can-Am's original setup with Visco lock, is they wanted it to be an automatic system, but of course a lot of off-roaders, they like to pick, and they like to be able to select it. So on some models, like the XMR for instance, there's a selectable front and rear diff locker. Now they still call that Visco lock, they just call it Visco 4 lock. So if you get a machine with the 4 lock, you can actually choose when to lock it, whereas if you get a machine with the Visco QE, like I have here, it's going to lock up on its own. It totally depends on what you're doing. If you are a big mud, really challenging terrain guy, you want to be able to select your locker. If you're going for leisurely cruises on the trail, honestly, you rarely need that front locker, and then in the couple of cases you do, well, it's just going to kick in. So I'm a fan of both systems, and I think it really just depends on what you're doing with your machine to try and decide which one works better for you. Let me talk a little now about why Can-Am redesigned this model. So in the big bore segments, 800 and 1000 cc's, Can-Am already owns that market, nearly 40% market share. Everyone thinks about Can-Am for the high power stuff. However, in this segment, the mid cc segment, 500s, Can-Am only has about 20% market share. So they looked at the board and just said, where can we really take a chunk out of our competitors? And they decided that this was the best route to go for their next redesigned ATV. Now, based on what I've felt today, it's a solid machine. And there's a lot of reasons why you might want to buy this over a Polaris and a Honda, such as more suspension travel, more horsepower, and traditionally Can-Am's always been a little more expensive as well. That was always a knock against them. Well, the Can-Am's great, but it costs a lot. Not in this segment. I think the engineers at Can-Am got tired of hearing that, so they made sure that the price is exactly even with the competition. Well, folks, we are coming to the end of this one. Now, I didn't mention this during the video, but there's actually a whole other pro lineup of Outlanders which are work focused, and I'm gonna do an entirely separate video review on those, so make sure you come back to the channel for that. But what about wrapping up this Outlander 700 here? I gotta tell you, I think Can-Am has nailed it for this segment. It's totally controllable, livable, and comfortable, and those are the things you want with a machine like this. So yeah, folks, that's it for this one. Please go below, leave me a comment, let me know what you think of this Outlander. While you're down there, don't forget to hit like, hit subscribe, hit join to become a member, and then come right back here to TK Power Sports to see what we're testing next. And if you'll excuse me, I've got a lot more riding to do. See ya!